So here we are, together, 2,000 people who represent the hope and future of special needs families. This is a historic moment. Aside from you all being together, 3 streams of dialogue and action are coming together. Singapore is having a national conversation about its future. The President has voiced support for the special needs families. The Prime Minister has voiced his support for the United Nations Convention on the Rights of People with Disabilities. In a given year, there are only 9,350 hours, and we only have 5,000 available to us. Only 8 are we all together. 1 hour can sometimes make an enormous difference. I hope this is one of them. But it's up to you to make this 1 hour really count. Please consider 3 very personal questions. Where am I going? What is my path? How will I get there? Now, you may wonder where I am. You may wonder why I'm standing in the back of the room. And if somebody turned the lights on, you could see me. I'm standing in the back of the room because I'm here to challenge your perspective. Look at the architecture of the environment that you're sitting in. It's designed to have you facing in one direction, looking at one thing. So organizational design can sometimes unintentionally limit our access to a broader range of views and ideas. When we open ourselves up to new perspectives, creativity and innovation blossom. It blossoms like the seeds you all planted when you started this process. We begin to see interesting ideas everywhere, and in particular, from our colleagues. Now, I'm not going to stand back here the whole time. But what I want you all to do right now is to stand up. And I'm going to walk to the front. And while I'm walking to the front, I want you all to introduce yourself to all the people around you. I want you to shake hands with everybody. Hi there. How you doing? Hi. How are you? Hi there. Hi there. Hi. Good to see you. Nice to see you. Welcome. Welcome. Great. Hi. How are you? Well, welcome. It may look like we're 2,000 people, but really we're just one big happy family. So now, you think I'm giving a speech, but actually I'm your aerobics instructor for the next hour. And there's things that I'm going to be asking you to do. And since we're all friends, and this is a nice little group, we're all going to do them. And we're going to do them with energy and with enthusiasm. But I'll get to that in a minute. I just really want to start out and say from the bottom of my heart, I am just incredibly honored to be here with you today. You are my heroes. Teaching is the greatest profession. Teaching is the concrete on which the foundation of society is built. All the institutions that exist rest on a foundation of education, which comes from teachers, which comes from people just like you. Teaching is not a job. It's a mission. It's a calling. And educating those with special needs gives all of you the most unique occupational title, miracle worker. The other day, I was deeply inspired when I went to one of your local schools, the Lighthouse School. Where is the Lighthouse School? I met a totally committed and engaged staff with a visible and palpable love for the children they work with. I also met a man who has worked at the same school for 44 years. He's been in a leadership position for 26 years. He embodies the commitment and persistence of all special education staff, teachers, and principals. I also met a senior specialist in teaching Braille to blind children. He was so articulate, thoughtful, and caring that frankly I totally forgot that he was blind himself. He was a product of the Lighthouse School when he was a young child. He then went on and he graduated from the National University of Singapore. He's held a number of positions since then. But now, within the last year, he's back at the Lighthouse School. He's helping children just like he was when he was young. He has indeed come full circle. He represents the future of all the children that you work with. So please allow me to ask Mr. Ko Po Kwang to stand up. Allow me, hold on. Stay standing. Also allow me to introduce to you my great new friend, who I called last night and I said, you will be here tomorrow, Mr. Albert Toe. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give him a standing ovation. Thank you. And Albert, I am so happy you're with us today. My mission today is we're going to discuss three things. Professional development, that's I Grow. There is a group here. Where's the I Grow group? I Grow? There we go. Teaching values, I Teach. Societal change, I Care. We're also going to leave time for question and answer at the end. So I got to hustle through this. But you're going to have to ask questions. Leadership, commitment, teaching means you have to step up and ask questions. I've been to this rodeo before in Singapore. People don't like to ask questions. I know y'all want to disappear, but that's not going to happen today. Otherwise, I'm going to come down and get questions myself, and I've done it before. Today, you'll show your leadership, and you'll answer questions that I'm going to ask you, and then you're going to ask us questions at the end. Okay. So look, let's get us in the mood here for what I think will be a very interactive hour. All right? I got to get down to business. All right? I want you all to grab your clipboards. On it, you'll see the three themes that we discussed. Okay? Now, I mentioned we divided the room into three parts today. When I point to your section and I say, what do you do? You're going to answer with what's on that board. Okay? So I'm going to go over here to my green section, my I Grow group. I Grow. What do you do?
I grow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
You'll get another chance. Where's my I Teach group? I Teach. What do you do? You teach. I like it. All right, see? You got your work ahead of you. Now, the meat of the room. The most people. What do you do?
Okay.
If you can see that from here, it's awesome. Somebody's got a camera. You got to get up here. Come up here. And you got to film this way. All right, you ready, gang? We're going to do this one more time. What do you do?
I
Over over here. Come on, follow me. What do you do? All right, you ready? Pan back. Get this to the big one right here. All right? What do you do? You are awesome. I love it. Now, as we go through this, if I point at your section and say, what do you do? Got it nailed. Perfect. Okay, now, we'll move forward. Last year, Salahin Sinai spoke to you about becoming the first Asian special athlete to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. I want to say a few words about that and why my 3 sons and I undertook this adventure with him. First, my involvement in special education began when I was 10 years old. My sister was born with Down syndrome. I will never forget how utterly devastated my mother was when that happened, because the doctors at the time in 1966 spent 3 weeks asking her what she did wrong. Can you imagine a worse feeling for a mother? It's given me a deep personal awareness for the support that families, and in particular mothers, need. Mothers who do so much heavy lifting and provide so much love and support to their children. My sister was lucky. She was accepted into a revolutionary program at the time which had much higher expectations for what Down syndrome children could do. Between this program and Special Olympics, she leads a full, productive, and happy life. She has competed in Special Olympics for the last 36 years. Now you know why I ran 250 kilometers across a desert to raise money for special athletes. My sons and I wanted to begin a conversation. A conversation as to the potential of special needs children. Our goal was to create a dialogue, a buzz, a moment where people said, he did what? And we did that. His summit triumph was front page news in virtually every local newspaper. His return home was covered by every major newspaper and TV station. MediaCorp produced a documentary, No Mountain Too High. He won the Shine Award. The president invited him to Astana. His story went global and viral via the Special Olympics website. ESPN, the sports network, has made a global public service announcement about his achievement. The boy that came with us from Tanzania, Harith Suleiman, was just named Tanzania Sportsman of the Year. Not Special Needs Sportsman of the Year, Sportsman of the Year for the country. Those were the 2 men that came and climbed that mountain with us. These athletes did what half of those without special needs failed to do. They reached the summit. And they did it on the hardest route, which is undertaken by only 2% of the climbers. I told them, we're taking the hardest route because you're going to meet people that climb Kilimanjaro. If you meet 100 people, only 2 people will have done what you did. You have an edge on everybody who climbs Kilimanjaro. There's 2 stories you need to know about that climb. The first was Salahin was due to participate in the World Summer Games in Athens. He voluntarily pulled out because he'd been to the games before, and he wanted someone else to have a chance. Second, he had altitude sickness on the hardest day. He was exhausted. He was weak. My sons helped carry his pack. We helped him get up. We were a team. We had trained as a team. When we reached the point of no return, at which point you can't come down, you have to go up and over, we weren't sure he could make it. And I asked him, can you do this? He looked me straight in the eye without a moment's hesitation, said, I can make it. When we reached the top of the crater that day, after 7 hours of rough climbing through sub-zero temperature, he buried his face in his hat. We all were in tears. It was tears of joy. He was shattered, but he was happy. And he still had 2 more days to go, and he did it in style. When he returned, I arranged for him to give his first speech to 300 members of the American Chamber of Commerce. He had never given a speech before. He came over to dinner at our house a number of times for dinner, and he practiced his speech. His opening was, my name is Salahin Sinai, and I have seen the view from the summit of Mount Kilimanjaro. And then he thanked his mother for her love and support. And there was not a dry eye in the room. Many of those people who have helped Salihin are in this room today. His former principal, So-Mi Chu, is here today. Many of you helped Salihin. He had the work ethic, the values of a champion. Tenacity, humility, resilience, persistence, honesty, teamwork, discipline were all on display for 7 tough days. You gave him that. You helped lay the foundation of his character. And on that foundation, he built a skyscraper. He is changing attitudes. He raised the bar. He is a leader. You, all of you, deserve pride in that accomplishment and the accomplishments of all special needs children. What do you do? Caught you off guard, didn't I?
Testing.
What do you do? Hi, girl. What do you do? You got to stay awake, you know? Don't worry, you'll get another chance. All right, now let's talk about professional development. What do you do?
I grow.
That's better. Roll the video. You like that? Taylor Malley is an amazing guy, and you can see a lot of his work on YouTube, and he's just fabulous. Knowledge and information today are increasing exponentially. The statistics are jaw-dropping and awe-inspiring. The rate of change is intimidating. We're overwhelmed with access to data, systems, models, analysis. How much can we handle? We're only human after all. How does one drink from a fire hose? How do we cope as professionals? I'll touch on 2 ideas: professional learning networks and technology. There is no better mechanism for determining relevance than human beings. 10 years ago, Mark Zuckerberg was in high school. Yet today, his company, Facebook, connects 1 billion people. Social media connects us as never before. It is essential for you to build professional learning networks that are robust, sustainable, diverse, and flexible. That's why I had you all introduce yourself. That's how you start creating a professional learning network. You meet each other. For it's via each other that you will most quickly progress and determine what works and what does not. You see, it's our personal networks that allow us to rapidly make judgments that foster the development of organizations and ourselves. These professional learning networks are a complement to the traditional top-down development programs like today. They create a bottoms-up approach, a you approach, that informs the traditional top-down model and vice versa. Just as having the only mobile phone in the world is absolutely no use, being a network of one offers no benefit. It is only through engagement with others that our network value increases. In fact, the value of a network skyrockets the larger and more diverse it is. Social media will change and evolve, but it's not going away. The tools to connect us are as important to us as any tool ever invented. Google+, Facebook, WordPress, Gmail, YouTube, Skype, iChat, and literally dozens of others hold the potential and are changing the world. How do you create a professional learning network? I'll give you a simple example. One simple way is each of you, as a mission, find 10 people, half of whom you don't know. You're all sitting together, so most of the people around you know. Find 5 other people you don't know. Get their email addresses. Create an email group with 10 names on it and begin to share ideas, thoughts, and most important of all, questions. How do you do this? Does anybody have an idea on this? Get your own group of 10. Keep it simple, but sustain it for a month or two. Try and at least have an email or two back and forth every now and then. Then ask each other after a while, hey, is this working? Am I learning anything? What can we do to improve it? Experiment. Be open with each other. Contribute to the group. Give. You only get back what you give. If you find that helpful, go to WordPress and start a blog. Recruit readers. Ask for feedback. Become an author and a publisher. If you see something you like or you read about, forward it to your network. Take it viral. Let me just say a thing about viral. I love this band that was up here before, fantastic, doing their Gangnam Style moves. On July 15th, a Korean singer named Psy posted a video on YouTube called Gangnam Style. I bet many of your kids have seen it. That was 110 days ago. Today, it sets the record for the most watched video on YouTube. 600 million views. Put that in perspective. That's 65 new views every second for the last 3 months. That's the power of social networks. Just imagine what will happen when this gets applied to education. Yesterday in a meeting with the teachers at the Lighthouse School, we talked about technology and came to a few preliminary conclusions, which I want to share with you. Being on the cutting edge of education is a worthy aspiration. However, access to the best practices is very difficult. Am I right? Connecting with centers of excellence is very difficult. Learning takes time. Time is a scarce resource. The classroom adoption process is slow, and the pace of change exceeds the rate of adoption. These are real challenges that you face. These aren't academic challenges, but they can all be solved. Welcome to today's world. Just like organizations all over the world, new methods and processes are developing. New means of finding best solutions are being tried. And each of you must commit to change your behaviors, to change your habits, and to adopt new methods of working together and experiment. But don't fear this, because it's not about you. It's about what's best for your kids. And I know that's what you care about, and you can do it. I know this because recently there was an experiment in two Ethiopian villages. This is an amazing story, so listen up to this. Boxes of solar-powered tablets, right, were left in villages with illiterate children between 4 and 8 years old. The tablets were programmed in English, a language the villages did not speak. The boxes were closed, taped shut. No instruction, no human being. What happened? Within 4 minutes, one kid had not only opened the box, but found the on-off switch. He had never even seen an on-off switch. In 5 days, these kids were using 50 apps per child. In 2 weeks, they were singing their ABCs. They hacked into the system to turn the camera on, and every kid had customized their screen. And these remote villages, these kids had never even seen a word. Remarkable. How did they do it? They worked together and they taught each other. These illiterate Ethiopian children, working with the highest technology on the planet, had formed a professional learning network. I am 100% confident, and this is important too, 100% confident that technology, decade, will bring the greatest revolution that education has ever seen. Don't fear it. Don't fight it. Embrace it and shape it. Listen to your colleagues. Listen to your kids. They'll tell you what works. Adopt as your motto. Be the future. What drives all this is passion, motivation. And as SPED teachers, I've said it this morning, you are blessed with an abundance of it. Now, very quickly, our roving volunteers, where are they? Where's our volunteers? What? Okay, very quickly. I wanted you to find some people and answer a quick question. What do you love about what you do? Where's my volunteers? Quickly. Come on, these guys. Who's got? Somebody tell me. What do you love about what you do? Somebody find a girl in the green shirt.
Seeing them progress.
Seeing them progress. Who else?
Love kids.
Love kids. Next. Be excited about the learning without the microphone. Well done. Next. Come on, come on. Don't be shy.
Making a difference in their lives and in their homes.
Changing their lives and their homes. Absolutely. One more.
Love to see the changes in the children and the family.
Exactly. Seeing the change. It's teachers. Isn't that what motivates you? Seeing change, making change happen. That's what it's about. Now, there's going to be 2 more questions like that, so you're going to be a little quicker next time. Where's my I Teach group? What do you do? Thank you. Character and values matter, no more so than in special ed. Values are an operating system. An operating system that informs our behavior and actions even when we're not thinking about them. Our values collectively are who we are. There is no other way to put it other than values and principles define our character. They comprise our identity, and ultimately, they determine our society. If someone has empathy, they're a lot less likely to hurt someone's feelings. Values need to be taught early and repeated over and over. Start young, start right. Values display themselves in the 5 learning domains as part of your curriculum: self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, responsible decision-making. Values and principles matter. Skills are not enough. They're important, but they're not enough. A holistic view of our students must incorporate values. In my opinion, skills ride on a foundation of values. And no house is stable without a rock-solid foundation. Much as Singapore sits on a foundation of Bukatima granite dating back 250 million years, so the success of Singapore's special needs students sits on the granite of sound values and character. So again, let me ask a quick question of the crowd. What's one value? Everybody give me one value that enables SPED students to succeed. Quickly.
Perseverance.
Respect.
Perseverance? I heard that.
Belief. Belief.
Belief. Resilience.
Respect.
Respect.
Determination.
Motivation.
Determination.
Determination.
Motivation.
Motivation. One more.
Confidence.
Responsibility.
Confidence.
I can't hear it. Hope. Oh, that's a great one to
Yes,
finish
hope.
on. Hope.
Responsibility. Adaptability.
Absolutely. So you see, these are the values that are going to make a difference. Now, where's my I Care team? What do you do? I care. What do you do? You got to see it from up here. It's just awesome. Now let's talk about the role of the external community. Your operating environment is a bubble. And that bubble is called a classroom. And in that classroom, you work miracles. You do amazing things with your kids. But at some point, it's over. At some point, the kids leave the classroom. And they have to go into the real world. What's that like for children with special needs? Just as you prepare your students with skills and values to function in the world, so we must prepare our communities to accept those students. We must achieve nothing less than a safety zone of empathy, acceptance, dignity, and unity in our society. This should extend to the workplace, sports, public and private spaces. Because if we don't achieve this, if society is not prepared, then all of your efforts are at risk. They're at risk of being met with indifference, rejection, and resistance. In this effort, failure is not an option. Disabled people's rights cannot be ignored, and this is why Singapore's commitment, recently stated by the Prime Minister, to the United Nations Convention on the rights of people with disabilities is so essential. The United Nations Convention commits governments to established internationally recognized benchmarks for the rights of the disabled in all aspects of human life. And that includes the right not to be discriminated against, the right to education, the right to employment, the right to health, the right to equal justice, the right to participate in culture. However, no UN convention, no law can mandate people's attitudes. We need to change those. This is why I climbed Kilimanjaro with Salihin and Harith. This is why I ran 250 kilometers across a desert to send Singapore's athletes to Athens, where they won a record number of medals for Singapore. And this is why I'm so pleased that Special Olympics now calls Singapore its regional headquarters. And this is why I hope that in 2018, Singapore maybe would consider hosting the World Summer Games. The World Summer Games is the largest gathering of intellectually disabled athletes in the world, of disabled anybody in the world. 7,600 athletes were in Athens from 125 countries. I was there. That video you saw of the Singapore team walking in, I was filming that. I called my wife when I finished. I was screaming at the top of my lungs, "You cannot believe how amazing this is." 80,000 people watching these Singapore special needs comes in. They were so excited. I'm sure you saw that. So that brings me to my final question for you. What can our communities do to enable special ed students to become fully accepted and respected? What can our communities do? Who's going to give me an answer? Wait, say again. Integration? Integration, is that right? Yeah, good, integration. Find somebody with a microphone. Where are my ladies? Ladies, run up and down with the microphones. Support.
Acceptance.
Support. Acceptance. Exposure.
Opportunities.
Inclusion.
Inclusion. Let's focus on that.
Opportunities.
Opportunities. Let's focus on inclusion. Unity. One of the things that I saw at Lighthouse and I've heard from many other people are when you do events between special needs students and non-special needs students. When my children first met Salihin on a hike we took through the Bukatima, they were like, "Dad, what do we do? How do we, can he speak? What do we do?" I said, "Well, I don't know, you figure it out." They were so nervous, and Salihin was a little nervous. Within 5 minutes, we're laughing, joking, running up and down the Bukatima Reserve in the Bukatima Hill. And my kids at the end of this said, "So how was that?" I said, "Wow, that was great." One of my sons worked with special athletes at the Delta Pool. My kids got involved. They loved it. But they were scared because they didn't know. They hadn't been exposed. They hadn't been included. Doing that, taking your kids, working with other schools, other students, it's a great idea, and it'll make a lot of change. And I really encourage you to do that. So let's review what we've done today. My I Grow group, what do? You grow. You're going to commit to building professional learning networks. You're going to build a network of 10 colleagues, 5 of whom you don't know. You're going to walk around today and get those emails, and you're going to communicate with each other for 2 months. Make space to learn. Make space to question. Make space to discuss. One of the things I said that was very important is you're a teacher, people are always coming in with new things. "Hey, I got the great new idea. Woo, this is fantastic." Nobody ever comes to you and says, "You know what? Let's stop doing this." Where does the time come from? You have to make important strategic decisions. We're going to do this. But if we're going to do that, what aren't we going to do? One way to do that is to do little pilot projects. Figure out what's the best thing to do. And then go for that. And then say, "Okay, but in doing that, we have to stop doing this." Because otherwise we stress people out and they don't have time to learn, adopt, and execute. Take the lead. All of you are leaders. You're teachers after all. Give ideas, ask questions, share your thoughts. Now, I teach. What do? Embrace the teaching of values. Lead by example. Reinforce values consistently. Demonstrate them and reward them. I care. What do you do? Help change attitudes in society. Seek out ways to create unity events. Continue to bring SPED and non-SPED students together. Join the Singapore conversation. Do you know how the Singapore Prime Minister ended up committing in the newspaper to the United Nations Convention on the Rights of People with Disabilities? Because people wrote letters into the newspaper. And there were enough of them that came in that the newspaper put it on a list of their top 25, and it got voted number 6. You know how it got on the top 25? I went to everybody I knew. Write a letter to the newspaper and ask them when it's going to be signed. And that was how it got on the list. And he did it. And it's important. Read that United Nations Convention. It's on the internet. Read it. As you continue to embark on your mission, I want to come back to the 3 questions I mentioned in the dark when I was standing in the back. Personal question to each one of you. Think about it. Where am I going? What is my path? How will I get there? It has been a distinct honor and a pleasure to have been allowed to address you today. I admire your work. I deeply respect your dedication. And every one of you is indeed a miracle worker. After one more short video from my friend Taylor Malley, we're going to do some questions. You're going to ask questions, right? Come on. I've been to the rodeo. I don't want to have to come out and get you. Roll the video.
Thank you, Mr. D, for the laughter. It really warms our heart, and most importantly, for your valuable insight. We will now proceed with the Q&A segment. Please share your thoughts or raise a question. My team members will be in the aisles. Just raise your hand and they'll come to you. Say your name and the school you're from. Ask the question or share a comment. So over to you. Thank you.
We're going to wait here all day if we have to, because questions are what's between right now and your lunch. Oh, come on now. We're not letting you off the hook. In 15 seconds, I'm going to pick someone out.
I think there's a question over there at the back.
Give that person a hand. There we go.
Sorry? Oh, hi, my name is Melcy. I'm from St. Andrew Autism School. I'd like to ask... I'd like to ask you, sir, how old is your son that he's volunteering at, what school is that?
Well, I have 3 boys and a daughter, and my twin boys are 18. My other son is 16, and my daughter is 13. And they were all 2 years younger than that when we climbed Kilimanjaro. And when he was volunteering at the swimming at the Delta pool, he was 15. And it really, he got, I don't know, many of you may know Benson, who's a very well-known swimmer, and he worked a lot with Benson. My son was pretty good in the pool. Benson was faster, I have to say. But working with the kids was just a fantastic experience, and completely changed their attitudes and their approach. I think they really got a tremendous amount out of it, and I'm a big fan of unity events where students from non-special needs situations get together with special needs kids, and it creates what someone mentioned before was the idea of inclusion.
I totally agree with that, and I would like to know roughly what age do you think for normal kids to go and volunteer to these special needs kids? because I have two children who likes to volunteer, but they are only 10 and 12. So do
I
you
think-
that they're pretty young
Well,
to do
I'll give you. I think that I don't. First of all, I don't think there's any age. I mean, when my wife and I lived in Hong Kong, we used to have two Down syndrome kids that would come over. They were little tiny kids, maybe 2 or 3 years old, and they would come over and play with our kids. I don't think there's necessarily a point to start. I think even if kids play video games together, play card games together, draw pictures together, all of that's fine. And but I think the earlier it starts, the more normal it is. I think is perhaps what I would say. All right, next. There's one.
There's another question.
There's somebody. Give him a hand.
Hello, I'm Adrian from Meta School. I would like to ask you, what's your next project?
What's my next project? That's a great question. I asked Salahin once if he wanted to climb another mountain, and he respectfully declined.
Why not cross the North Pole, Antarctica?
Yeah, there's always the North Pole and Antarctica. You know, I don't know. It's a lot of people have asked me that. I think that I would like to find another project because I think doing things that show what special needs kids can do is very, very inspirational, not only to other special needs children, but also to the non-special needs community. You know, literally 50% of the people that climb Kilimanjaro don't make it. And when I know people that haven't made it, and they're like, wow, 2 intellectually disabled kids made it to the top, and I didn't? That's amazing. So the more we come up with these kind of projects, and they don't have to be big projects, you don't have to climb a mountain. It can be little projects. It can be communities. It can be schools. A great moment, I'll tell you one great moment. Singapore American School, which is where my children go, they had a swim meet. And they invited a Down syndrome kid to come in and compete in one of the events. And you know, he didn't win the event, but I'm telling you, it was electric in that around the pool. Everyone was standing up and cheering, and they cheered him all the way back in the last lap, and it was just a fantastic moment. Creating those moments, engaging those moments, will change not only the lives of your charges, but those that are participants as well. So the more projects, big and small, we can do, there's no end to the creativity that we can have. It's a great question. Thank you.
Thank you. Please let us know what's your next project so we can maybe get involved as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh,
Yeah,
right there.
Another question.
Give that person a hand.
Is it on? Hi.
Hi.
So first of all, thank you for the very inspiring and fun talk. My question is, a large part of exposing our kids has to do with parents' involvement. So how do we get parents involved as well?
Oh, that's a good question. And I would actually, my first reaction to the answer to that is, you should all talk amongst yourselves and share your experiences on that. Because parental involvement it's essential. I see it from the standpoint of my Special Olympics engagement. Before I asked Salahin if he wanted to climb Kilimanjaro, I met with his mother. And I wanted to make sure she understood what this was, and that it was dangerous. I mean, frankly, people die on Kilimanjaro. The last thing I wanted to do was go up and have an accident. So I wanted her to understand the risks. She was so excited, the fact that her son would have an opportunity to do something like that, and she was so supportive. It was just wonderful. Parents need that support. It's not just the child, but it's the parents. I think parent support and some of the things that MOE is doing and society is doing in Singapore are wonderful. Making parents feel that their kids are special. Right? We call them special needs, but making them, they are special. Down syndrome kids, they have a happy ability. They don't have a disability. That 23rd chromosome it's the happy gene. I've never met an unhappy Downs kid. It's amazing. I love being surrounded by them. They're so much fun. They're so happy. We have so much to learn from them. There's no meanness. There's no bitterness. We've all seen situations where there's a race and somebody falls down and the couple of kids will stop and turn around and go back and help them. Or they'll finish the race and there'll be one kid going and they don't really know where to go and they're a little bit lost and everybody's yelling and screaming, come on, this way. And, parents love to see their kids succeed. And the parents want to feel, they don't want to feel that their kids that there's any negative connotations. I don't know how else to say it. I'm sure there's a better way. They want to see their kids accepted. When Benson's mother, Mimi, looks at her son and sees him go and compete and deal with people, it makes her so happy. When Salaheen's mother watched him give that speech, I wasn't really watching Salaheen. I was watching her. The pride that she had. When parents see their kids doing these things, it gives them confidence and it gives them hope and it gives them purpose. And it changes them. And when they change, the extended family changes. And I bet if you did a 6 degrees of separation, it probably wouldn't take 3 or 4 degrees if you picked any random person in Singapore that you could connect them with a family that has a special needs child. That's why it's so important. And I think there are a few places in the world that could do what Singapore could do in terms of creating that inclusion. One, Singapore is very good at these campaigns, right? You guys are amazing at this. I love it. And that's why I sort of throw it out there. I would love to see Singapore think about doing the 2018 World Summer Games, right? Because you need thousands and thousands of volunteers. And it's a huge event. And to see the tens of thousands of volunteers in Athens, Greece that were involved, and the excitement and the involvement of the Prime Minister and the whole nation. I mean, Greece is having a tough time. But they did this, and they did themselves proud, and they did a great job. So thank you for that question. It's a great one.
Thank you very much for your questions. But ladies and gentlemen, we have time only for one last question. If you have a burning question, that's it. Anyone?
Hi.
Yes?
Hi, I'm Lindy from Mines.
Wait, where are we? Oh, there you are. Hi.
Yeah,
Sorry,
hi.
I couldn't see you.
Okay, I have this question. What are the implications to Singapore in signing the new convention, the UN Convention on Rights of Persons with Special Needs? Especially in education sector, what are we supposed to do to prepare ourselves for it?
I have no idea. I think, look, Singapore, I think, is very diligent in how they involve themselves in foreign affairs, and rightly so. Before they sign something, they don't sign it and then dot the I's and cross the T's. The font is fixed, the colors are done, the spacing is done, the margins are set, the I's are dotted, the T's are crossed. They'll get close to signing, they'll pull back, make sure everything's okay, then they sign it. When it actually gets signed, I think it'll be big news in Singapore, and it'll be important news. And I'm confident that behind that, there will be a plan. And there will be a discussion with the community and with the society of why it's being signed, what it means, and how to act on it. That's the Singapore way. That administrative excellence, I think, will answer that question. It would be presumptive of me to answer that because I don't know. But what I do encourage you to do is to go and type in United Nations Convention on the Rights of People with Disabilities. Wish they had a better acronym. And there's a summary on Wikipedia, and there's the actual document. And it's a brilliant